So how close is the deal on the Sutherland? Where are you at this morning?
Well, wish I could say that it was imminent, but there are still obstacles because there are conditions that have to be met. And on those old buildings, sometimes it's difficult for those conditions to be taken care of. So we're still in the process.
Okay, so even though the building isn't there anymore, there's still something going on with ownership, property, and what's happening there.
Yeah, it mainly focuses on the remediation of the materials that are on the site that have to be dealt with before we can finalize the sale.
Got it. Now, of course, I will ask more about what you're interested in building and how you view housing in the city through your nonprofit. But I have to ask about the Manwin. I mean, what was your reaction when you heard yesterday up the way another historic hotel was lost?
Yeah, I was very sad to hear that. And I think it's important that we distinguish between what happened and what's happening. So there are numerous, it's a great city, so much going on in the city that's good, but there is a problem that the city is losing connectedness. So yes, that is what happened yesterday with the Manwin, but what's happening is that there are parts of a great city that are losing connection with the other parts, and so I'm seeing that this is a trend. It's been going on for a while, and I think it can be reversed.
What do you mean by losing connectedness?
Well, I think if we view the city as a living organism, as a system, the city has different parts, and the city has different aspects. And anybody that drives around Winnipeg sees wonderful parts of the city, a great city, but then we also see other parts where the homes are derelict, commercial properties are derelict, and it seems to happen year after year, and without getting better, despite the fact that the city and other groups are identifying the problem. But so far, we have to turn the tide.
Earlier this morning, we actually had our reporter, Jim Agapito, out in that part of the area asking about the impacts and what the area has been like. And someone actually identified it as the quote-unquote bad area. Is that the kind of labeling that you're worried about when you look at sort of Main Street in Winnipeg?
Not at all. I think just like when a person's body has a problem, it's signaling it needs help. So I think we have to completely avoid those labels and that thinking. I think we have to realize that there are factors at play in all cities, and Winnipeg can be understood historically that it had a part of the city in the North End where Ukrainian groups and Jewish groups, Polish groups left for other reasons, and it's physically divided on the other side of tracks, and so the city has to view itself as a whole in a very positive way and just respond to this part of the city.
You are here today to look at, and you have there's a really detailed press release you put out that has a whole bunch of different properties. Some of them are sort of vacant, some of them are derelict, where you say there's opportunities to build the same kind of nonprofit, social housing that you have in BC. What is your plan and hope for the Sutherland should you be able to get that deal done?
Yeah, well, there's absolutely a proven pathway that not only our organizations, but the great organizations of Winnipeg, working with government and business and patient capital, there's already so many things going on. So I think with the Sutherland property, we have to unite forces and close on that sale and remediate it. And our original goal was to retrofit the old building and use it as a transition out of homelessness. And I think that's still possible for other old hotels. But now that the property is vacant, we can use a model that we used in Vancouver, where we built 69 micro suites with a strong social employment focus, and we could it could be part of the housing continuum, so people aren't stuck in housing that isn't adequate for them, and so that would be the idea.
What would a micro suite cost?
Well, a project like that would be about $20 million. It would be CMHC money combined with patient capital from the private community. So it doesn't have to weigh heavily on provincial funding sources for operating. It can be self-sufficient, but that would be the typical cost of that development.
And for an individual to get into a micro suite, when we say that, what should they be envisioning? How big are the spaces that you've looked at? You have quite a number of diagrams of what they would look like here.
Well, small studios can be 400 square feet, 300 square feet. If the city of Winnipeg would allow it, it can go down to 260 square feet, which is possible in other cities in North America. And if you have mixed income, so you can, the building can be self-sufficient because it's affordable housing. It's 100% affordable housing. All the rental rates would be below the market.
We are hearing in the news this morning that the head of Main Street project, which was next door to the Manwin, is next door to where the Manwin was, says, that they actually were worried about a fire risk in that vacant building for quite some time. They're saying they would welcome a partnership to redevelop that site with housing. Are you interested in the Manwin property?
Yes. In fact, we're working at analyzing all the derelict residential properties and commercial properties, as well as the encampments in Winnipeg, and having an overall plan where over the years that we can turn the tide and have the opposite feeling, where we have a complete stock of what we need to do, and we're uniting forces. So we would be very happy to work with the Main Street project on that Manwin.
What motivates you to do this work in Winnipeg?
Well, I'm from Winnipeg, but we have been over the last 25 years perfecting this model whereby we believe that cities are smart, and we believe that nonprofits can do more, and the business community can step up. And so we started working nationally about 5 years ago, and I have still many connections in Winnipeg, so it seemed quite easy and natural to come here.
What are your plans for today, Mr. Gordon? I know that you have you have a plan to sort of to talk about some of your hopes for the city in a bigger way.
Yeah, we've called for a gathering at the Sutherland site at 1 o'clock. The Winnipeg Fire Department were called out at 1:25 1 year ago. And it's not for a moment of silence, because I think we need to speak out. So we've invited all interested groups from the business sector, from community groups and government to come, and we will observe, and we will say, no, we will work together, and we won't let another year go by with that building and others that are not in the process of development for Winnipeggers who desperately need that type of housing.
And what response are you getting from the city, just as a last question, like what from the mayor and such in your interest in, as you said, a lot of Winnipeg?
We're getting a great response. In fact, I met with the mayor yesterday, and we went over the plans we established over a year ago when we started these efforts. I think the city is very committed to reversing this trend and providing housing. But the reality is, governments are just one part of the city. So the city is doing what it can to enumerate these properties, residential and commercial, and changing bylaws where we can move more quickly on derelict properties. And so I think their response is great.
Do you have, just as a last brief question, if they were to remediate the Sutherland and the Inkwood Dry on the deal, which you said is close, how quickly do you think that you could build there, these micro suites you're talking about?
Well, I mean, we would have to start with the typical engagement with the city, with the architectural drawings, but we have all of those plans. We've already built that type of building before, a 6-story building, and so we would get started immediately this year.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
That is Keith Gordon in Winnipeg, former Winnipegger, but in town again. He's executive director of the Anhart Community Housing Society out of BC. So they're a nonprofit real estate developer. Now, CBC did spoke to Brad Gross last night. They represent the sellers of the Sutherland. He did tell CBC he's expecting the deal to be closed very soon as well. We reached out to the city of Winnipeg for comment as well on the situation. They did not respond by deadline. So a developing story here on development.